Hello, everybody.
This is a
Today,
rather emotional one
yes,
for
today
us.
today's a legendary day because after years of us this story being deleted from fanfiction,
With
uh,
us not knowing the title
we didn't
for
know the title
anything.
for this story. But we just found it on archive.org. It apparently was saved. Somebody went out of their way to save this fucking
This is
story.
the only save of it, too.
And this is this is Danny Phantom, the rise of Spacezilla or Spacezilla. Sorry. And let's read the description for this amazing story. Space Godzilla crash lands on Earth in an attempt to find a mate. Danny runs away from Amity Park due to neglect and meets up with her. Now watch as he becomes the most powerful kaiju of all time. Danny
Freaking
Phantom.
legendary.
Danny Phantom X female Space Godzilla.
Absolutely legendary. Absolute legend.
The greatest concept for a story, I think, of all time. Alright. What do you think would happen if Danny somehow met Space Godzilla?
I have no idea.
It's pure awesomeness. That's what will happen. But just
How
so
would we
you
ever
know,
delete this?
just so you know, Danny will actually have been emotionally neglected by his parents in favor of Jazz. Oh damn. He will not really trust anyone, not even Sam and Tucker. And as a result, has no friends to turn to. Oh, this is so sad.
Oh, so sad.
He will end up meeting Space Godzilla in this chapter, though not everything is as it seems. Also, I've never done a neglect fic before, so the quality might not be so good. And also, what?
The quality for this is amazing, but the most ironic part is that this fanfiction was neglected for far too long. Sam S. Rock 625.
This is so
Why would you even
sad.
delete? It's pure awesomeness.
It
he
is
even said.
pure
It
awesomeness.
really-
Also, in this fanfiction, Space Godzilla will be a girl, just to avoid any confusion. You have been
Yeah, what-
warned.
You know, if Space Godzilla was a man, I would be very confused. Thank you.
Disclaimer: I do not own Danny Phantom or a Space Godzilla crying face.
Are you serious? This guy doesn't own Danny Phantom or.
I can't believe
He
Source
surely
Rocks
owns.
doesn't
Surely
own.
he owns. Does he own female Space Godzilla?
That's a good point. Female Space Godzilla is a pretty original character.
It's an original character.
So, anyways, let's get into the story. Chapter
Oh my
1:
God.
Wish Upon a Falling Star.
This is the only chapter that will ever exist, by the way. I'm sorry to say this.
Depression. Alright. It was the middle of the night in the town of Amity Park, and all of its inhabitants were locked in blissful slumber. Well, all but one. It's like how every single person in this town is sleeping.
That is sheer coincidence at that point. Like, is there no one that works 24-hour shifts at like a store or something, or like just like someone who stays up all night, or like a college or university student? Man, this is that was very rare. It's a very eventful night.
A young boy, no older than 14, we're not really sure, was walking through the streets of his hometown. He was not wearing a shirt, so no one could see the so one could see the various scars on his upper body. All from when the school bullies decided to get a little more sadistic.
Oh my god! Wow.
He had black hair and light blue eyes. But he also had a cross-shaped scar over his right eye, but he can still see out of it.
I didn't even know. You know what? I mean, I haven't. It's been years since I've read this fan fiction.
We probably
Literally
haven't read this
years.
story. We probably haven't read this story since like 2017. It's been like over 4 years since
Oh
we've read this
my
story.
god! It was before the Wall of Shame. Not that
Way
any of
before
you
the
know
Wall
what
of
that
Shame.
is.
But the look in his eyes showed nothing but pure loneliness. This is Danny Fenton, second-born
darn
child to ghost hunters Maddie and Jack Fenton.
Only had a waifu to keep his sate his loneliness.
Yeah, if only he'd become an epic kaiju. Now, you might be asking, Why is it that Danny is so miserable if he has a family? Well,
Wow,
clearly...
you know what? That really, if anyone has a family, they shouldn't be miserable. You got a good point there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's because his parents kind of neglect him.
Well, it's only kind of.
Only kind of. Emotionally speaking, that is. Yeah, I mean, they don't hit him or anything. Come on. It's a bit out of pocket. You see, since his older sister, Jasmine Fenton, aka Jazz, has far greater grades than her brother, her parents think that she has more potential to make it in the world. So when it comes to studies, they focus more on Jazz, leaving Danny to fend for himself.
Man, who would have, that's so tragic.
However, Danny doesn't really blame Jazz for any of his mistreatment. He can't really blame her for being so smart. He can only blame his parents for their neglect.
I mean, if your parents are neglecting you, I'd blame the parents too. That seems pretty no-brainer.
He's distanced himself quite a bit from the family, to the point of near secession. As for the two who talk to him at school, Sam and Mason Tucker Foley, he only sees them as people he talks to. He doesn't have any real friends. Like, come on.
He just sees them as people he talks to.
Yeah, like for basically no reason. There's no like reason given. He just, I guess, doesn't really care for them as people, you know?
Darn, not even the original love interest of the show or his best friend or his real friends. That's so tragic.
Yeah, man, he doesn't have any real
Is he a ghost in this universe?
That...
I don't even know.
I don't know yet. I mean, this story does seem to be pretty intent on just deconstructing everything from the actual show of Danny Phantom. So, who knows? He stares up at the night sky. He always found the stars and moon to be soothing to him. He then saw what he thought was a shooting star scream across his eye. He normally didn't believe in wishes, but he decided to make just one wish. If you pretend that airplanes in the night sky... You remember that song, Josh? It's reminding me of that song. I just wish that I had someone in my life who actually cared about me. Does Jazz care about him? Their relationship isn't really established.
Well, I mean, like... I'm not even sure. We haven't actually explored the full extent his parents have been mistreating him. Like, for all I know, it's just like inner teen angst.
I just read it a little bit ahead and it made me laugh. Okay, just then he noticed that the star breached Earth's atmosphere. It headed on a downward course and crash-landed far away from Amity. And people are still sleeping through this, apparently. Now, normally...
Well, it's also very fast. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Well, normally people would just pass this off as a natural part of life. Yeah, just a meteor landing, like, directly beside town. And move along without a care in the world. I really do think if a meteor landed, like, in your town, that would be, like, a pretty big town event. Like, I think everybody would be interested in that, right?
Yeah, but everyone else except for him was still asleep, and also he was the one that made the wish game.
Oh, right,
of course.
to him. Yeah. Oh, but Danny isn't like other people. I didn't get that yet. So against all better judgment, he ran off in the direction the star landed. He didn't bother going to his house to pack, as he watched plenty of survival shows. And now has a good time as any to put them to the test? What?
Well, he just left. He walking the streets and he sees a star. I'm just gonna run into the woods. I've seen Bear Grylls. I know how to survive and eat bugs.
I know how to survive in the wilderness, like 5 kilometers from my house.
You should make a how he survived his own backyard video. You know, just to no one's gonna get that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Alright.
Fenton family home. At the same time. Wait, this is at the same time as this is going on? At the Fenton family
I thought they were all asleep.
Yeah, I thought they were all asleep. Maddie was wide awake despite her family being asleep. Oh, so he wasn't the only one awake. Fucking lying ass story.
It's kind of like the story is treating it like Danny Phantom is this inner angst where he's just lying to himself. He's like, I'm the only one awake. I'm the only that feels this way. I'm different than everyone else. My family abuses me. Like, it's almost like the story's kind of commenting on the fact that it's basically all in Danny's head. Like,
Yeah, but we'll get to this as we read on, because I don't know. Okay, she was currently looking.
yeah.
Oh, she was currently looking through a book titled "Family Photos," trying to figure something out. Her daughter had come to her with some concerns regarding her brother. She said he was distancing himself from everyone, and she meant everyone.
Everyone.
This did explain why Danny was never with them on any family outings. Yeah, I guess so. Like, it makes sense in hindsight.
I guess he never noticed this till now. I like how the mystery's like, do I have a son? What's it like?
She needed further proof to understand. So here she was, sitting by herself in the living room in the middle of the night, looking through her old family photos. As she looked through them, though, she noticed that Danny was barely in any of them. And the few he was in, he always stood away from them and had this dead look in his eyes. That just wasn't right for a boy his age. I'm glad she's just realizing this now at some random hour in the middle of the night.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh.
She put the book away, deciding to think about this more in the morning. As she was heading for the stairs, though, she noticed something in the sky. She looked out the window and saw it. It was a shooting star. She remembered how she would make wishes on a star when she was a little girl. So Maddie decided to make a wish for the first time in years. I just wish Danny would not distance himself from us. That he would try to get closer to us as a family, thought Maddie. So at this point, it's basically confirmed that, like, they're just not even, like, meaning to neglect him. Like, it's completely unintentional.
Well, like, I'm under the impression that, like, they just, like, it's so ingrained to them to just ignore Danny that, like, they genuinely, like, did not even think about the fact that they didn't actually give him any consideration through his entire life. Like, that's pretty neglectful, if you ask me. Like, at least she's trying to make amends, I guess.
Like,
but,
they
like,
didn't realize they were neglectful, which is, like, super weird, you know?
I don't know how to feel about this game. Because I don't feel like it's a real scenario for someone
I
genuinely...
don't think if somebody's being neglected, it's like, oh, I really do love him. It's just I haven't realized I've been neglecting it. Like, I think neglect is, like, you kind of have to, like, not care for your child at all to, like, neglect them, if that makes any sense.
Well, it's more than it's like, oh man, I never realized the fact that I never actually, like, allowed Danny to be, like, in any of her family outings, or, like, actually, like, even noticed that he was,
like, not even in any of our photos, like,
or, like, very distant in the. Did he not look at the photos after they took? It's just such a weird mess of the story going on so far, to be perfectly honest, which is amazing.
Are you saying the story's really contrived for no reason?
Oh.
Well,
you know,
what?
I did kind of get that impression from the original show that it just kind of felt like the parents cared more about Jazz than Danny.
Yeah.
But, like, didn't necessarily, like, but still cared about him. So it's really not that far a stretch, but it's contrived in the way they're doing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't watched Danny Phantom in a really long time, so I don't really remember, but yeah, that's just super,
right,
like,
carry
stupid.
on.
Having made her wish, she went to her room to get some sleep, hoping that her recently made wish would come true. But what she didn't notice was Danny running in the direction of the shooting star. Oh.
In the wilderness, a few, like, a distance away.
Yeah.
I'm glad she didn't notice that.
The next morning, the Fentons were going through their daily routine. All but one, at least. Mom, Dad, where's Danny? He's always the first one up. Jazz asked her parents, noticing that her brother was nowhere to be found.
Again, they just, like, did not think about this till now. It's just
like, for a neglectful family, it's like, I guess they're just paying attention to him right the fucking exact minute he decides to leave. Maddie looked up from the ghost hunting tool she was working on and began walking to the stairs. I'll go get him, Jazz. He probably forgot to set his alarm clock last night. It happens to everyone, Maddie said, trying to pass off the bad feeling in the back of her mind. As she got to the door that led to her son's room, she knocked a few times. Danny, are you awake, sweetie? Hurry, I'll be late for school, called Maddie. When no answer came, she figured he was probably still asleep. But when she opened the door, she saw that there was no trace that Danny had ever been there recently.
Like yesterday?
Yeah, like yesterday. In fact, the only thing that Maddie could find was an out of place in the room was a piece of paper with writing on it sitting on Danny's bed. What's this? Maddie asked herself. She picked up the note and started to read it to herself.
And he presses it like whoever is reading this.
Yeah,
his own family. the most horrible, like, you don't know who you're writing this, like, oh my god. To whoever make it serve. To his own freaking family.
To whoever is reading this, if you're reading this means that I've left Amity Park. I can no longer endure this life of constant neglect and being one scapegoat.
Kind of sounds like a suicide note.
It sickens me to even write about it. My own parents neglect me in favor of my older sister. I'm beat up by the jocks on a regular daily basis. And to make matters worse, no one seems to care. Has Danny talked about this? Like, has he brought this up to his parents, or do they just really not care?
That's a good point. That's kind of what I was also saying. Like, well, maybe I didn't explicitly
because like they
say
seem
it,
to
like,
care about him. It's not like they
Yeah.
don't care about what he thinks.
It's
like
like some
like
teenage angst where he's not able to communicate himself and
Like-
feels even more like
if it
not
was
understood.
like if it was established that he was like he tried to talk to his parents but they didn't take him seriously, like I'd believe this a little bit more. But this kind of just seems like I don't know. I don't want to get too victim blamey, but it's kind of like maybe Danny should have like asked because his parents still seem to like care for him, and like Jazz seems to care for him. Like it's not, you know.
Would they interpret this as a suicide note? Oh, until
Amity
I
Park,
never mind.
returned
Keep
to this
reading.
place. Jazz, if it's you who are reading this, I want you to know that I do not blame you for anything that's happened to me. This was never your fault, so don't go thinking that. But don't bother to come looking for me. I know that by now I found myself a real family who actually cares about me. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Sincerely,
It's not...
Daniel James Fenton. At least until my new parents rename me.
If I read the first like thing out of like if you're reading this, it means I've left Amity Park. I can no longer endure this life of constant neglect. Like I would think that would just be starting a, like a suicide note or something horrible there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something weird. Never mind. Keep going. Sorry.
Having read the letter, it was proven that humans can indeed turn paler than a ghost. It still hasn't been established whether Danny is like.
Yeah, I'm not sure in this universe.
He's just a regular human being. Because that is exactly what happened to Maddie. She couldn't believe that she had unintentionally neglected her own son like she did. Just the thought of having done that made her want to die, but at the same time she knew that suicide would get her nowhere. I'm so... Okay, Maddie took the letter and ran back downstairs to get her husband and her daughter and start searching for her wayward child.
And that's the end. That's how it ends.
I like how they want to set up like them as like super bad, neglectful parents, but they don't want to actually like make them bad people. Like they still want to make them like good people, but they still want to make them like neglectful to their child to the point where he runs away. It's like so like weird and contradictory.
We never get to see female Space Godzilla, despite the fact that the first thing it sets up that we're going to see at this chapter.
Well, let's read the author's note. The last piece of,
Well, it says he will be meeting with Space Godzilla in this chapter.
Which never happens.
Which never happens, yeah.
This chapter is done, and I will sleep well. A fine first chapter, if I do say so myself.
Don't delete it, then!
Now, the parent for this story is undoubtedly going to be Danny X Nemo Space Godzilla. If you have any ideas for first Space Godzilla's human form should look like, he doesn't even know what the main, like, other pairing is going to even look like. Also, would female Space Godzilla, like, even talk?
I'm a little confused. So in the Godzilla universe, do they have human forms?
No, they don't. They're just monsters.
Maybe, so this story's ended, so what, here's a good question is, what do you think this story was going? Like...
Well, it said he would become the most powerful kaiju of all time.
Right.
So, oh my
Do you think?
god.
Do you think it'd be a kaiju that transforms into a kaiju ghost as well?
I
Do you think he just
guess?
turns into a kaiju?
I really don't know.
Maybe the next chapter, Space Godzilla like transforms into a human, and then they like she teaches him the kaiju ways like as an art form, and he learns how to be a kaiju. Or maybe they merge into one being. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was... Sorry, I went on this guy's profile and, oh boy, this guy's written some stinky, stinky stories. Like Naruto, Kaiju King, Deadpool and My Little Pony. What's the other one that looked really awful? Danny the Hedgehog, Sonic Underground. A crossover between Danny Phantom and Sonic Underground. Enough said.
No, please specify, because what does that even mean? Come on.
Of course, I'm reading some reviews for this story. There's only one page of reviews, and they're just giving ideas for what female Space Godzilla's human form would look like. So.
Oh, there's reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
The reviews have been preserved as well.
Oh,
I
thank
never heard
God.
of Space Godzilla. Anyways, please do more.
I think this was probably the first time I heard of Space Godzilla. I'm not used to the kaiju universe. This is probably the first time I heard of Space Godzilla. I thought that was funny, that the fact that there's not only Godzilla, but like they're female and they're also from space. I thought that was like, what? It's completely absurd. It's like Space Godzilla has a name of like some sort of beast that's like, we don't know what to initially call it, so let's just call it Space Godzilla until we find out like an actual name for it. Or just as a joke name, but like that's its actual name.
Well, it's literally just Godzilla who's born in space.
That's what I mean, like it's literally just like, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that chapter.
I did.
That story.
It's been
The
4
lost
years.
story.
I haven't even read this story. You read it to me 4 years ago, so. I like how Danny Phantom just walks shirtless out in the middle of the night and decides to
They didn't
like go on
explain
like
why
a
he went out shirtless.
decides to go on like a wilderness survival thing to see this meteor. Sorry. Okay, I can't stop. This story sucks. Dude,
It's
this
so
would have been
good.
so amazing if it got more chapters. This story's horrible.
I would have loved it, dude. I love the fact that he's seen survival shows. He can do it. He just goes out in the woods without a shirt on, without anything. He just goes out in the woods because he's seen freaking Bear Grylls or Survivor Man or whatever. Oh my god. I love it. Why it never explains why he doesn't have a shirt on either.
It really, yeah, no. Well, he just wanted to show off that he had scars, dude. He's gotta look super epic.
To the audience. Space Godzilla was like, whoa, did you get beat up by those school bullies?
Okay.
We also need to know the intricacies of why Space Godzilla needed a mate. Like, we're missing so much in this
Yeah,
story.
dude, we never met Space Godzilla. This is so sad.
Alright.
Well, that's it.
Oh.
Goodbye.